Tottenham Hotspur have signed a ready-made Premier League striker in his prime that got 19 goals for Bournemouth. But on top of that, they've signed a very good youngster that really fits Ange Ball in terms of a progressive 1v1 winger in Wilson Odobert. Now, a week ago, probably 2 weeks ago now, when I was thinking about Tottenham Hotspur and what they need, I thought back five solid. Vicario, Van der Ven, Romero, Udogie, Porro. Very good back five. Obviously, maybe a few injuries, particularly on the left back, left centre back role. There could be some issues there. Maybe they need to sign in there for depth, but it's not a priority. I look at Tottenham's midfield, very good individuals, a lack of experience with Gray, Bergvall, Sarr, very good potential, and a lot of good individuals in Benson Kai. You know what he can do if he's in his best form. Madison, if you know what he can do in the first half of the season. There's some good individuals there, but maybe it needs a signing because it lacks the balance and hasn't quite figured out his best midfield three. But where I looked at Tottenham and had a big question mark around them was attack. Son, you know what you get in Son, he's best on the left wing. But there was a big question mark around them. Brennan Johnson's probably someone that's very good coming off the bench, suits Ange Ball, but has sometimes, not maybe been to the level quite yet that Tottenham fans expect. And while Tottenham have sort of started to solve their attacking issues, I think with these two signings in, Wilson Odobert, who is a young player, and I understand Tottenham's fans want for getting someone that's maybe a bit more ready-made, and Pedro Neto, but he's gone to Chelsea now, and the right-wing market is pretty bad now. Pedro Neto, Elise, and Williams, they were the three that you would want. And then Solanke, they've got an experienced striker. Now, Solanke allows them to put Son on the left wing. So this guy is probably competing with the likes of Brennan Johnson and Mikey Moore to get that sort of last slot, potentially on Tottenham's right wing, even though I think him and Moore do play more on the left wing. Now, I think that Tottenham's attack has gone up a level with these two signings. Now, I'm going to be honest, this signing came out of nowhere. Were you linked to him? Because I just woke up and Tottenham had signed a player like yesterday. I think he signed him 2 days ago. So obviously I've been really busy, so I haven't had time to make a video on it yesterday. Where did this happen? Just first of all, but I do want to talk about this because when you first signed this guy, I was like, okay, that's random. But then when I look at this guy, I look at the profile of player he wants, I look at what Ange wants from his wingers, I look at that you looked at Desiree Doué. When you look at Desiree Doué and Pedro Neto, and you can understand why Tottenham wanted Desiree Doué and Pedro Neto, you've got it in this guy for cheaper because you couldn't get Desiree Doué, you couldn't get Pedro Neto. I think that this is a very smart signing for Tottenham, and I think it's a lot better than it looks on the outside because I've done my research now. Solanke's a very good signing because Tottenham needed someone ready-made in their attack. They've got a lot of youngsters. They need someone that's ready-made, and you get that in Solanke. First for headed goals, first for offensive duels, third for interceptions, first for progressive passes, second for expected goals, and third for non-penalty goals, and third for goals in the Premier League across strikers last year for Bournemouth. I'm going to get into more detail about Solanke, Mikey Moore, Tottenham's other attackers at the end of the video. But I do want to start this video by focusing on their new signing, Wilson Odobert, whatever way you say his name, because you sign him out of nowhere, but it makes a lot of sense. It just makes a lot of sense. Desiree Doué has aspects and similarities there in terms of what Ange wants from a winger, and when you look at the right wing market. And also, there's a rumour, and considering you signed this guy out of nowhere, you might be signing another guy out of nowhere, that you were interested in João Gomes, who is a very good, I'd say, box-to-box midfielder rather than specialist six. He plays for Wolves. Now, I did an analysis on João Gomes, I'm going to say back in February or March. So if you do sign João Gomes, I will definitely make a video on that because that's a player that I know quite a bit about, whereas Odebert, I've had to go and do my research. So he is 19, he is French, he can play right wing, left wing, attacking midfield and centre forward. He can play all across the front three. We know that Ange loves a versatile forward. I say he predominantly played left wing followed by right wing, but so versatile. Under Ange, I think he's a proper winger because of his pace and because of his 1v1 abilities. He got 7 goal contributions to 27 starts for an underperforming Burnley side last year. And look, those goal numbers, they don't sound the best. Those goal contributions numbers don't sound the best. But when you look at Burnley and how they weren't the best going forward last year, they struggled in the Premier League, you know that that's going to go up naturally if he plays for Tottenham, who, while they concede quite a few goals, Tottenham, they do score a lot of goals. I always said, like, as a neutral, as a Man United fan, they asked me who my favourite teams to watch in the Premier League. I always say Tottenham and Newcastle because you guys always have goals in your game. Either way, I always think it's exciting. And I think in Ange Ball with the attacking philosophy, I think it works. He's going to improve with age. He's going to improve with coaching, which you get with Ange and young players. And he's going to improve playing for Tottenham and their system. Now, he's got very similar data numbers and stats to Desiree Doué. Now, Desiree Doué has gone to PSG for basically double the price of him, and he's been playing for a better team in League 1, and Desiree Doué's stats are only a little bit better than his. So I did a video in May with Sunny Talk Spurs, And I named, who I thought Tottenham should go for. And I said Archie Gray, I think I said Calafiore, I think I said Ivan Toney. And then as my winger, I said if you can't get Pedro Neto because of injuries or price, I'd go with Desiree Doué. And while this guy's probably your Desiree Doué sort of alternative, like Desiree Doué, multiple positions he can play, very versatile, and because he's such a young player, and can mould him into what he wants. But interestingly, in terms of 1v1 specialists, he ranks first for teenagers when it comes to dribbles plus progressive carries. And him and Bergvall, I mean, Bergvall is an unbelievable dribbler. There was a clip of Bergvall back in January that was circulating as he signed for Tottenham of his last 25 dribbles. There's a clip of this guy circulating in his last 25 dribbles as well. I mean, you've got two elite dribblers, which is what Ange wants, ball carriers. So most successful dribbles by teenagers in Europe's top 5 leagues. He does rank just after Desiree Doué, as you can see there, across Europe's top 5 leagues. And he's been doing that for a Burnley, where it's a little bit more difficult. He's not going to get the ball as much as Doué or Yamal in front of him. So they can give you indications of what it's like. Now, if you compare him to Desiree Doué, who's playing for a better team in an easier league, his statistics are a little bit less than Desiree Doué's, but as an all-round player, you can see profile-wise very, very similar. And where he actually beats Desiree Doué is successful take-ons and carries into the penalty area. Now, what Ange will look for in a winger is, can they cut back the ball? Do they have output? He showed elements of that with his statistics. But does he carry the ball? Is he good 1v1? Can he get the ball into the penalty area? Can he make things happen? And you've got that in Odebert. So let's talk about him and why he could be the perfect profile for Tottenham Hotspur. He's a two-way direct winger, skilled at taking on players 1v1 and advancing down the pitch to deliver crosses or cutbacks. Does that sound familiar to what Ange wants in a winger? Yes, it does. Very good 1v1, very good dribbler, two-way winger, likes to put in a cross, likes to put in a cutback. I'm going to show you some examples of that in a second. He's a 1v1 specialist with rapid pace, able to progress the ball with each. You've got Kulu, who's a very good dribbler, but doesn't have the pace for Ange Ball to go out wide and get down the byline and put in that cross, which is why he's better centrally for Ange. This guy's got the pace, which means he can go inside, he can go outside, and that's what I mean in a two-way winger. He can go left, he can go right. He's very, very good in terms of, going on the inside of the player, going on the outside, going in the half space, getting out, getting down the byline, unpredictability. Now, he's able to progress the ball. I remember I did a video on why Pedro Neto would be good for Spurs, and I showed an example of Spurs defending a corner, Pedro Neto getting the ball, dribbling all the way up the other end, putting in a cross, and all scoring the counter against Tottenham. Odebert can very much do that. Progressing the ball is when you get the ball basically from his penalty area, and he can just run with it all the way up the other end of the pitch. He's very good at that. He possesses the skill and technical ability to dribble out of tight spaces. So it's not that he's just a good dribbler because he's rapid. He's also very good when he doesn't have to use his pace because he's got the skill and ability to manipulate defenders. And I think he has similarities to Neto in his versatility, in his ball progression, in his ability to carry out the ball. And obviously similarities to Brennan Johnson in terms of the profile of winger. Now, I think the only question mark is you've got Son that's a great winger. You've got Solanke that's a proven player. You've got Johnson that has shown potential but not proven at Tottenham. You've got this guy that shows potential but he's not proven. And you've got Mikey Moore that honestly an elite potential but obviously not proven yet because he's 17. So I think the only question for Spurs is I can understand Spurs fans wanting someone that is a ready-made right winger, and that's why Neto would have been my suggestion for who Tottenham sign. But you can't get Neto. The market is crap. When Neto's gone, when Williams is gone, when Somerville is gone, when Elise is gone, I think who should Tottenham get? The market, and then when this guy popped up and I looked into him and his profile and his potential, I can see it, and I can say, you know what, in terms of Desiree Doué, in terms of Neto, this is what they want and this is what they're getting. Now, he's also not missed a game due to injury, so that gives him, I guess, a bonus over Neto for you Tottenham fans, and I think that could suggest he could physically demand Ange Ball. Neto's injury prone, and considering that Ange Ball's so intense, Neto under Ange Ball, that was the big question as well. And he has good numbers when it comes to, getting into the penalty area as well. Delivering crosses in the penalty area, getting into the penalty area. He has good numbers that are only going to improve when he goes to Tottenham and plays for Ange's attacking style. And obviously, he's a naturally gifted player. Some players are fast and stuff, but maybe it doesn't come as naturally good to him. With Odebert, he's definitely a naturally gifted player. And this is where he'll stand out. 97th percentile. Yeah, for successful take-ons, 96th percentile for carries into the penalty area, 95th percentile for carries in the final third, 97th percentile for progressive carries, and 94th percentile for crosses into the penalty area. That is everything that Ange want in a winger, and profile-wise, he ticks that. So as I said, naturally gifted, comfortable at receiving the ball all angles in any area of the pitch, is comfortable running at players both centrally, out wide, is very two-footed, very good on the ball, very comfortable on the ball, has a strong understanding of the ball and off the ball movement, and can make runs to create space. And one thing he is really good at is actually, what I've noticed from doing my analysis, is his change of pace. Can get the ball and he can change his pace so quickly, which can be lethal due to his athleticism. Like Neto, he's an elite ball carrier, he's an elite progressor in possession, and every single statistic and metric backs that up. And this is a very Brighton-esque signing, young player that ticks all the data points in the profile that you want, and then Brighton go and sell him for a load of money a few years later. I think it's smart. I think it's smart as well. I also think he's good at finding space, opportunity, and I think he would work well with Porro and Udogie in terms of their ability to overlap, underlap, and progressively overload the flanks as well. And I think he's very good in terms of off the ball. He seems that he can press high, which is what Ange wants for his wingers. I saw this thread. I thought this was quite interesting. They're comparing him to Kulu and Johnson in terms of his numbers, which would only get better if he was at Tottenham. And obviously, he doesn't have as many touches in the penalty areas of them because Burnley weren't attacking as much as Tottenham last season. But carries, he's pretty much carries every X touches. He's pretty much up there with Johnson. Carries to the progressive, he's higher than Johnson and Kulu. Carries into the penalty area, he's higher than Johnson and Kulu. Carries shot creating actions, he is lower. Attempted dribbles, he's obviously lower because he gets a lot less of the ball. But successful dribbles, he's also every X touch is also lower because he gets less of the ball. But you can see that, carries that are progressive, carries into the penalty area is higher, and that will only get higher at Tottenham as well. And obviously, dispossessed a lot less than them, miscontrols a lot less than them, a lot more comfortable on the ball. But this is probably the prime example of how he would suit Ange Ball. This is him receiving the ball versus Luton, dribbling, getting down the byline, putting in a cross, and he gets an assist. And that is everything that Ange wants from his winger. And I think that he could work really well under Ange. Areas to improve, decision making and final third, output, but that's going to improve naturally with age and playing for a better side. Maybe shooting accuracy. He does have a good strike, he does score some good goals, but it could be a bit more clinical when you compare him to someone like Kulu, for example. I think he's a bit of an alternative to Due. I think he's a bit of an alternative to Neto. I think Solanke, obviously being ready-made, allows Son on the wing, which means you can go for a younger winger, but I can understand Tottenham fans wanting someone more established. But he was a very highly rated teenager at PSG. They've now spent big on Desiree Doué, who's a very similar profile player. And I thought, to conclude my analysis on him, this was a very good conclusion by the Premier League panel, that Odebert's dribbling style is Sterling-esque with how he jinks in and jinks back out of his fullback at high speed. He's proven he can outPL fullbacks 1v1 because he's Premier League proven after 1 year. Smart deal for initial 25 million, fixes the weaknesses of Ange's system. He has good goal scoring potential as well. So that's what you want to see. But talking of good goal scoring potential, we're going to talk about Solanke. Now, I've done 2 videos on Solanke, so obviously I wanted to focus on the new signing, Odebert. But with Solanke, 21 goals, 4 assists, 25 goal contributions for a Bournemouth side last year is absolutely insane. And with Solanke, he's Premier League proven, he's in his prime, he allows Son to go to left wing, he provides a focal point. Because he's physical, he can hold up the ball. He's 2-3 years younger than Ivan Toney, got a better work rate than Ivan Toney, despite me thinking Ivan Toney's the better player. He would allow Son to play in his natural position. He can be the 9 in Ange Ball. And if Ange wants to change up his style and have a target man, he can be that because of his physical frame. But also he's got the athleticism and the ability to run behind on the transition to suit what Ange Ball demands. Bournemouth was one of the best teams in the league last season for direct attacks, and Solanke thrived in transitions, and that is what Ange wants from Tottenham, directness. Solanke also had more high pressures than any other striker last season, and Ange obviously wants a striker that's going to press, that's going to lead from the front line. Solanke is very intelligent with his pressing. He's 2 years younger than Watkins. He's got the same goals to game ratio and goals to minute ratio than Watkins, despite playing for a worse team and being 2 years younger. He can provide a focal point, he can lead the line, and he's got an elite work rate. And I think Solanke ticks a lot of boxes. I've done a video on Solanke if you want more detail on that. You've got this young guy, you've got Mikey Moore, you've got this very good future coming up. And again, Mikey Moore, I think, is a player that would thrive in Ange Ball, 1v1 dribbling, able to take 3-4 players out at youth level. Could go in or out, he can progress the ball. A lot of the things that we're talking about Odebert having that would suit Ange Ball, Mikey Moore also has. He's direct, he can deliver a dangerous cross, he could take set pieces as well. He's probably better with his shooting, with his finishing. So I think Tottenham's attack, which 2 weeks ago they had a lot of question marks around it, has definitely gone up a level with those 2 signings, particularly Solanke because Odebert's young. But with that allows Son on the left, Mikey Moore coming through. I think Johnson, definitely there's a player in Johnson. Yeah, I think Tottenham's attack's gone up a level. You might get João Gomez as well. And that puts you in a very good position with João Gomez on top of these guys. Anyway, Tottenham fans, let me know your thoughts down below. Please hit the like button. Of course, subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.